All right, we're live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and we are live. We are talking football with PKat and sitting here Flossin via live stream from Kansas City and Santan Valley, Arizona. Good evening, everyone. So, PKat and I decided to start a streaming service in the benefit of trying to enhance our league. In fact, our mission statement that we created here is to help aid and promote, in our opinion, the NFL's best gaming product by using our platform to steadily bring our pro football 2K8 to newer heights. This is something new we're trying out. In the past, we've done this with actually PKat and Vertigo did this a couple of years back when they were on the part of the family, and they had a radio show going, and they brought a lot of interest, and maybe even brought in some new players. But it's something we decided we would try and do ourselves to help promote our league, maybe get some feedback, some questions, things of that nature, just to help, you know, add a little twist to what we already have here. So with that, I'd like to welcome PKat to the show. Welcome, PKat.
Well, thank you for the intro, and we're awful excited about doing this. Flossin, Eddie, and I, we text quite a bit and whine and complain about our losses and celebrate our wins. And you know, we were just talking one day, and we decided let's do a live stream, and just because it's fun, really, it's just fun to talk about this game. I don't know how much many years we're gonna have this game available to us. It's the most fun that I've ever had on any kind of online playing at all. And so I guess we just kind of want to hang out and talk to some people and spread the word if we can a little bit, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that, we'll just hop right into our topics of conversation. The first one we have coming up is in regard to the State of the League address. And in this, we just have a few items, a few bullet points. First one being, how are you recruited into the league? Speaking for myself, TJ approached me, I don't know how many times, at least a dozen, way back, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, asked me to come on board. And I kept telling him no, because I didn't want to get involved with a hex league, because I thought it was cheese and, you know, another form of cheating. And being back in the lobby days when I used to play there, I didn't like it, and people would try to disguise their hex players, and I just got frustrated with it. So anytime he brought it to my attention, I just kept telling him no. He never asked why. He just said it was a league, it was fun. And he had about, I think at the time, a dozen players. He was just trying to recruit more people to come along. And I've always told him no. And one day, he just kept approaching me, and I finally said, you know what, I'll do it, but I want to play with the Bears. And he told me, well, the Bears are already taken. And me being the diehard fan that I am, I said, well, thanks, but no thanks. You know, call me when the Bears come along, if they're available. And this went on, I don't know for how many seasons, several that passed by. And I just kept telling him no. And every time he would ask, I'd say, okay, the Bears. Well, the Bears aren't available. So finally, one day he came, and I won't say he begged me, but he just kept approaching me saying, hey, I got this team available. The guy already created his team, but unfortunately he had to bow out. I don't know who the individual was, but he was representing the Atlanta Falcons. And so I finally said, you know what? I'll do it. Screw it. And sure enough, that season, I believe I won one game, if I remember right. And walking into it, I was just certain that I would dominate the league, because I was one of the top-ranked players in the lobby game. So I said, I'm going to come over here and just dominate this league. They're going to kick me out, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And just needless to say, I got a large dose of humble pie. And I was so frustrated. I couldn't believe that I was losing. And I just couldn't put my finger on it. I mean, I had a couple of close games, but most of them were blowouts. And I'm asking myself, what is going on? How am I losing these games and I'm dominating in the lobby? And I just couldn't. And I remember back to a quote that I actually told you one day, PKat, when I was to quit. And my football coach told me, son, you quit in football, you quit in life. So I decided to stick around, come back. The next season I won 3 games. I think back then we played, I don't know, 8, 10 games. It was frustrating. And I think it was around season 3 or 4 where I finally had a winning record. And the rest is history. But knowing what I know now, I wish I would have joined a long time ago because it's really fun. And maybe if I have more than just 2 CAG trophies by now, who knows? But I'm glad that TJ kept pursuing me to join because it's been one of the best decisions I've made.
You know, I think that the time that you joined, if I remember right, I took a pretty long break at one point and was playing a lot of lobby games. And I think you and I had actually been playing just by random chance quite a bit because I had remembered your name kind of when you came into the league as someone that was fun to play in the lobbies. I have no idea how I was recruited. It's been so long ago. I know I wasn't in season 1. I think I was in somewhere around season 5 or 6-ish. And I've been on and off throughout all of that and didn't win a bowl for, I don't know how long it was. But one point that you made about transferring over and thinking you're going to dominate, I remember a guy came into the league about 8 seasons ago, and I won't mention his name. But his lobby record, I looked in a year, was something like 135-5 or something. That was ridiculous. He came into league and went like 3-7. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily that the players are that much better, although I think the players are really good. I think that when you put the same rules to it, and when you use 20 caps, it's just a completely different game that you have to get used to. You can't just rely on exactly the same plays. You just can't get away with the same stuff in 20 cap that you do in 11 cap, which I think we're seeing now too, since we've been running 11 cap a couple seasons. It's a totally different game when you have that many stars on the field.
Agreed. One thing I remember Vertigo asked me about it. I remember telling him that for one, with 20 caps, the holes on defense close so much quicker. The running game is not as easy. The passing lanes close faster, especially in zone-type defenses. The man-to-man defense, they seem to press better. I mean, everything about it is just harder. And it took me a long time. I don't remember how long, but it took me a long time just to get the speed of the game was faster. The pass rush seemed fast. If you didn't get away with that one quick swim move, I mean, the speed of the game just itself is just so much faster. It took me a long time to. I mean, I had many nights of frustration just getting used to it.
Yeah, I was against the 20 cap at first because I felt like it killed the run game, which to a certain extent I still kind of believe that because you can't. I don't think with 20 cap you can be a run first team. Like you're gonna have to at least be 50-50. If we're running an 11 cap team, I can run 6 out of 10 times and be successful. And in 20 cap, you really hardly anyone runs 50-50. I mean, I think I'm looking more for like 60 pass, 40 run with the 20 cap because you just, like you said, everyone's so fast. The pursuit is so fast. And I really felt like that they were killing the run player when they did it. But what ended up is it just made me a lot better because I just had to start working on the pass game, which I had never had to do before. And it made my whole offense much more versatile and just opened up everything for me. So I was not a proponent of it at the beginning, but it certainly made me a better player.
You know, it's funny you say that. I was going to save this for later, but I can't remember who I was talking to back then. But I don't remember which CAG member it was, but I was getting ready to scrimmage you. And after I just finished playing him, and I tell him, hey, I'm about to play PKat. He says, oh, man, that guy, I'm telling you, you have to stack the box. He's gonna run for like 200 yards. And I said, you know what? I look at that as a challenge because I love it. You know, I love, I don't know what it is. I mean, with me being a former defensive player, I don't know, but you know, when someone tells me something and you're gonna run the ball down my throat, I took that personal. And I remember coming into the game, I said, I'm gonna stuff this guy for 3 straight losses. He's gonna kick it on 4th down and get frustrated. And you came out throwing the ball with intermediate routes downfield, and I was just so frustrated. I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on? And I don't know. Ever since then, I've never seen to get back on track against you because I come out with this mindset to stop the run, and you end up throwing the ball over my cornerback's head.
You know, Destro kind of pulled that one on me in that playoff game where I was just like, all right, he's coming at me with the counters. He's coming at me with the counters. And he hit me with 2 like 75-yard touchdown passes in the first half that I just did not see coming at all. And I think that one of the best things that happened for me was when PKat and Vertigo, I was on their show, and they talked up my run game so big that immediately I just switched over to pass for a while. I think that was about that same time because everyone I kind of overhyped my run game.
Yeah.
And, I was able to just kill people with the pass just because those guys talked so much about my run game.
Yeah. I remember one day I was getting ready to play you, and I asked TJ, I said, how is this guy getting away with a bronze quarterback? He goes, he only passes the ball like 4 or 5 times a game.
That was true. That went back in 2K5. I had a friend that we used to play at all the time, and we would get together and we would take turns playing online. And our goal was to see if we could go the whole game without passing the ball. And we used the Chiefs at that time. They had Larry Johnson and Priest Holmes.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, that team was just sick. So we would try to go the whole game and never pass.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to move along to league involvement. And when I first thought about this bullet point, it was my thought to talk about how we can recruit more people. But coming to talk to some of the other guys, it got me to thinking because one of them, I won't mention his name, brought up a good point. And I believe TJ mentioned it in the past as well, in which he talked about the fact that even though we don't have a fairly large group, our group is loyal. And we know we're going to have these same guys here every season. You may have a guy who takes off time here and there because life gets in the way and what have you. But for the most part, we're going to have the same brotherhood. And I mean, he brought up a good point. I remember one season when we had so many teams that we had, I think TJ created actual divisions, such as the NFC East, North, South, and I think we had like maybe 16, 18 teams. And it was, in a way, to me, it's refreshing because I like to go into a game and not exactly know what to expect. For example, when I'm playing, I won't mention names, but when I'm playing some individual A, I know to watch out for this, you know, to key in on this or what have you. But when I'm playing a new person, I don't know what to expect. And sometimes it's kind of scary because even during regular season games, my heart is just racing. Even today, for example, I needed that win to solidify a playoff spot. And my heart, until like maybe the 3rd quarter, my heart was just going, you could feel it, you know, outside my chest. And people always tell me to calm down when they're texting me and, you know, etc. But no matter what game it is, I could be playing someone who's 0-7 coming into the game and my heart is just racing. So I don't know. I say all that because I'm getting off topic, but sometimes I welcome more people for the reasons that I mentioned, but other times I kind of like having that close-knit group because I know we're going to get our games played for the most part on time, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just kind of a balancing act with me. Right now, I would welcome other people, but it's just an unknown about commitment that worries me.
Are there any people still playing lobby at all? I've never.
You know, it's funny. I haven't been in the lobby in a long time until a couple of seasons ago when we first played with 11. I think it was last season, and I went to the lobby to play a game, and there were a few guys in there, and they invited me to join a party, and they says, "Oh, I know you're sitting here flossing. You're from that CAG league," and it was probably about maybe 6, 7 guys in there, and they were like 50-50 on it. Some of them, they shot it down. Oh, you guys are overhexing guys and this and that. And I tried to explain it to them that we all play with the same playing field. We have a commissioner, you know, he oversees the league, and everyone else as a whole, you know, they monitor games, and we can see for the most part when something just doesn't quite look right or have a certain feel to it, and we all police it as a group. But they just didn't want to hear it and pretty much shot it down. And then I had a couple other guys who were remotely interested. And one guy, he said he reached out to TJ, and TJ kind of ignored him. I said, that doesn't sound like TJ. So I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag. You know, it all depends on who you get.
If you want to grow the league numbers, I think the best way to do it is to go and approach people who have been in the league in the past. They're known quantities. They're good players. And I think maybe reaching out to some of those guys. I like the league to be at about 16. I think that's a good number. What are we at now? Like running about 9, 10?
Yeah. Yeah, this season.
16's a really good number. If we could reach back out to some of those guys that played in the past, I think that'd be a great way to grow that number back up. But the amazing thing, and this is really to TJ's credit more than anything, is that, I mean, this is a dead game we're playing, and we have been able to field a league for, I mean, how many years are we talking now? How many years has this league been going on? It's not just season.
We're in season, what, 52 now, so it's been going a long time. I started in 28. You started before me. If you ask me when I first started playing, would this game still be on the server, I'll tell you no. I mean, they shut it down, but we can still, you know, we still find ways to get on and play. And like you said, to TJ's credit, you know, I don't know too many leagues that, I don't know of any league that has lasted this long. I've seen some come and go. I've seen people mention about starting a league, but they never seem to come to fruition for whatever reason.
Well, and just having a league where people actually play the games is amazing, because back in 2K5, actually Run and Shoot is back. He's the only guy that I know that I remember playing back in 2K5. And I don't know if he remembers, but he and I had a big argument. We got into it bad one time in one league about something or other. But anyway, those leagues, no one ever played the games. You join a league, and no one would play the games. And so when I got into this league, it's just incredible that people actually play the games, and there's no fighting and bickering amongst people. It's incredible.
Yeah, that TJ gets a lot of credit for that. I mean, he
really
find a way to.
He's the reason this league's gone.
Exactly. He gets much credit for that. I mean, he's found a way to keep it lively, keep it, you know, people's attention to it, and it's fun. I don't know what I would do with some of my free time if not for this league, because I don't know. I think I shared with Vertical in the past. When I stopped playing football, I was kind of, I don't know, down, because of football was my life back then, and I got into boxing as an amateur for a while, and then I got older and got away from that. I don't know. It's funny because when I first bought this game, I bought an Xbox, and I bought this because I didn't like Madden. And the funny thing is, I tell people this a couple of times. I've told this story. It sat in my closet for maybe 2 years before I actually opened up and played it. And like I said, I wish I'd have joined. I started playing it sooner as well as joining this league, because it's brought a lot of thrills to me.
I totally agree. I'm the kind of guy, I get a video game and that's all I play. So since about 2008, I've been playing Battlefield 2, Bad Company, and this game. And that's it.
Don't forget the other one you were playing.
Just got into Rocket League, and that
Yeah,
is
Rocket League. There you
storm. That game is incredible game.
go. I haven't played it yet.
It's so hard. It's so hard. You wouldn't even believe it. But it's soccer with rocket cars, and you can fly through the air, and it's incredible. It's an amazing game.
Maybe one day I'll check it out. But
It's hard. I mean, you got to put in some time. It's a hard game.
All right. Well, moving on. Let me ask you a question. I want to get your opinion on this. I have mine as well. I'll share it. But why do you think when games aren't being played by a certain individual, why do you think that is?
I think a couple reasons. Number one, I think life gets in the way, for one. And number two, I think when sometimes people are kind of wearing down for lack of success, and so they lose a couple games, and then it's just they're probably thinking, I need to set up the game. I need to set up the game, and you know how we can procrastinate. I don't ever think anyone intentionally doesn't play their game, or very seldomly does. But I think it's just kind of a procrastination kind of a deal.
Well, I know for myself, last season, I went 1-7. Oh my God, that was horrible. And when I lose games, I kid you not, it affects my personal life. My wife knows when I lost. I come in the room and she sees that look on my face. She goes, "Oh, you lost, didn't you?" it's just so depressing. I don't know why. It doesn't hurt as bad as if when I used to lose a football game or a boxing match, but it's right up there. I mean, I would just, especially a game in which I know I should have won. You know, quick story. Last week I played Papa Daz, and I started out and I was up 14-0 because of a pick six. And I told myself, okay, I'm going to slow the game down. This game is pretty much over. There's no way my defense is going to allow him to come back. And after that pick six, he played kind of out of character on both sides of the ball. And he was doing things I've never seen him do. And at one point, I wanted to pause the game and walk away. I was like, what is going on? I've never seen him run these plays. The ball was just soaring over my head. And the next thing I knew, he was down, I think, 3 or 4. And I said, okay, there's no way I'm going to lose it. I'm just going to run the clock. And I had, I hate to tell him this guy, but I had Run and Shoot texting me. Why? Because I had it on Twitch. And he was like, hey, just throw it deep. He wouldn't even be expecting it. And I said, you know what? You're right. And I came out in that one formation where everyone who's watching this show know what I'm talking about. I come out with 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, and a single back. And I threw the deep post. And I said, I'm going to go with that. He won't be expected. It's going to go right over his head. I'm going to catch it and then just let my receiver fall short of the end zone and run the clock out. And sure enough, he comes out in a 4-4. I must have played Dazzle a million times, and I've never seen him come out in a 4-4 against me. And I said, well, what is he doing? But by this time, the clock is clicking down to 0. I started to call a timeout, said no one to save it. And everyone who's ever played football knows, if he comes out in a 4-4, don't throw it to the deep middle. That's where he's sitting there waiting on you. And sure enough, his 5'3" safety intercepted the ball, and the rest went down here from there, and I lost. And I walked away, and I went downstairs, and I just started punching that heavy bag. I was so pissed off I lost that game. And I'm telling myself, if you just stuck to Dazzle football and just ran the clock out instead of listening to Run and Shoot, this game would have been over. And, it just really pissed me off. But I don't know. I love this league. The challenge is awesome. I just love it. It feels a void from when I used to play, and I'm too old to play anymore, but it feels that void for me.
Yep, it's that competition because I played sports, basketball in high school and baseball in college and everything. And at this age, I've had 2 back surgeries, so I can't even play pickup basketball anymore. And baseball, I mean, you can't do it. So it's like it's that competition bug,
Gotcha.
It does. It fills that void.
Well, what do you think the chances are of more guys? And I don't like to ever try and influence people to spend money where they don't want to. It took me a long time to finally decide to put my games on Twitch and broadcast it. And when I contemplated on this probably a year, and I was scared of doing it because I was scared that people would see my plays, because I'm sure when they're shooting knows it, but I study his game so much, you know, with this, I study him and his opponents when he's playing them. I like to see what they like to do on defense and offense. So I'm studying him and whoever he's playing. And same thing goes with Destro and Vertigo when he was playing. I used to just study not only them, but their opponents to see what they like to do. And when I finally got a chance to see your game, you know, I looked at it like maybe 3 times. I said, huh, okay. You know, there's a couple, most of it I already knew about, but a couple of things kind of surprised me that you did. And I said, okay, all right, so I can begin to prepare for that. As a matter of fact, I remember one time you was playing run and shoot, and you ran a play to your tight end. And I said, wow, it was like a 30-yard gain. I said, okay, I've never seen him do this before. How can I counter that? And sure enough, I was playing you. I don't remember if it was a CAG bowl we played in or another game. But when I saw that alignment, I said, oh, okay, he's going to that tight end. Let me audible to this. And sure enough, it was a pick. And I remembered it. I said, oh, okay, all right. So
I know exactly. I remember the exact play you're talking about. That play is one of my bread and butter plays. I've got about 6 plays that, if I allow myself, I'll just run repetitively. And that one, I remember the exact play. That was in the red zone, that interception.
Was it?
You were sitting on it, and something when I hiked the ball, I knew you were sitting on it. You know how when you know you shouldn't do something and you do it anyway?
Yeah.
And you picked that off in the red zone, and I'm pretty sure that's why you won the bowl.
Oh, that was sweet.
Yeah. I know, that's why I'm not dying to broadcast my games. The few games that I've videoed that I've showed you and no one else, if you've noticed, I edited them down so you can't see any audibles that I'm doing.
Ah, yeah, I did notice that. You go right to.
System is that I'm probably, if I do too many of these shows, I'm going to tell too much. But here we go. So I run quite a few formations, but I don't run that many plays out of each formation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll go to the line of scrimmage with 4 plays, both directions, and I've got counters for everything I'm doing. But if you can generally get an idea of, okay, he's in this formation, this is his bread and butter out of this formation, that, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what my point is, and I wish I hadn't just said that. But anyway.
I know Destro, I had a similar story with him too. He did it once, and I caught something that his opponent was doing. I can't remember who the opponent was. It might have been Vertigo. I can't remember, but yeah, that's one reason, because I'm an avid film. When I played, I used to love to watch tapes. That's showing my age. Back when it was on tape. But I used to love to watch tapes to try to, you know, get a read on my opponent, find out what they like to do, read keys, stuff like that. That was awesome. I loved it. And that's one reason why I wish more people would do it. Heavy Hitter is on the verge of actually doing it. He's been debating, and he has some of those same precautions that you just talked about, people seeing your plays. I know Showtime, he used to broadcast his games too, but it wasn't live, and he would, like you said, he would edit out the plays. He just take you straight.
I remember the point I was making. The point I was making is I don't want to run my games live, because I don't want everyone seeing me go to the line of scrimmage. Because if you can watch me go to the line of scrimmage and watch the progressions that I go through out of each formation and the basic 4 plays that I run, and you really study that, I'd be screwed.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You know, it's funny you say that, because I remember once, right around the time I first started streaming this, I'm about to tell it myself again, and I was playing Dazzle 0007, and just like I was just telling you, I came out with that 2 tight end set, and I beat him on a deep post for a touchdown, like 30, 40 yards. And I played his dad like either the next week or the week after. And when he came out and he seen that set, he audible. And I've never seen, I'm not going to say what he audible to, but I've never seen him do that out of that set. I said, wait a minute. This guy's been watching. I know for a fact that him and his son talk. I'm pretty sure. And
there's no doubt that I burnt Dav's 47 in a playoff game on one play, and I was playing his son a couple weeks later, and I specifically had in my mind when I ran that set, I countered that play with something different, just assuming that they had discussed that one play.
Yep. Because ever since then, when they see that set, they both audible to the same play. I said, you know what? I may have, lit on too much broadcasting my games on Twitch, but it's fun. I remember Mighty RX told me to, even though I was doing it, I asked him, I said, you think I'm giving away too much by doing this? And he made up a good point. He said it's going to make me a better player by making me more diverse, because anyone who knows me knows I only run about, I don't know, 5 or 6 set plays, and everything else is I might run once or twice. So it's fun. I like doing it.
I like watching them. I love when I watch my games. I don't tend to watch my defense too much, though. I have to say that.
Well, we talked, and we're going to share this with our audience now, about divisions. And lately, for the most part, there's been a CAG Navy, I believe it is, and a CAG Gold. Funny, it's the Ravens colors. And we've had, for lack of a better term, some of the better players put in A, the remaining players in Division B. And I've actually had a couple of individuals approach me, talking to me about what can I do to get into Division A, because, I feel like I'm being, for lack of a better term, disrespected by being put into Division B. And you came up with a point, and it makes perfect sense. And I'm not sure why either I or anyone else thought of this earlier. Maybe they did, I don't know. But if you're listening, one thing we can do is at the conclusion of every season, the participants in Division A who had the worst record of the people in that division, slide them over to Division B, and the 2 top ranked players in Division B, move them over to Division A, give the guys in the other division something to shoot for.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, if you're sitting there mid-division, let's say A, and if you lose your last 2 games, you're going to slip down to the bottom division. That makes those games more meaningful to you. And if you're in the B division and you're sitting there and if you finish in the top 2, then you're moved up. It gives you concrete goals. I think it's perfect.
So do I. Not only that, but it also gives them more reason to get their games played if there's something they aspire to do by trying to stay in that division.
Yeah, I would love to see that change. I think that would be wonderful.
TJ, if you're listening, implement that. You heard it here first.
Or if some set of rules that allows people to have a spelled out way to move.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Well, moving on, we're going to talk about last season's results. And unfortunately, going to include mine in that. And we just hit a couple of bullet points in there. One, the first thing that shows up about last season is Destro's first playoff win. I believe he played Dazzle 0007, and I think the final score was 10-7 or 13-7, something like that, maybe 13-10. And before the game was before he even wrote it in the comments about the results, because I didn't even watch the game, he called me and goes, "Hey man, I just won my first playoff win. I beat Dazzle 0007. I didn't think I was gonna beat him. He has my number, and I don't have much success against him." And you could just hear, if I had a Facebook Live session where I could see him, I would be able to see all his teeth. He was that happy. I mean, he was ecstatic, and I was happy for him. Not so much that Dazzle lost, but I was just happy to see him get his first playoff win, because you want to see everyone have success, and for him to finally reach that goal and give him something look forward to, because as just getting that first win, getting over that hump is hard. I mean, this league is hard in itself, and for him to get that first win, I could hear the excitement in his voice, and I was happy for him.
Yeah, then he came out, and I played him the next game in the playoffs, and he punched me in the mouth first play with a touchdown pass. And I think late second quarter, the score was either 14-14 or 14-10, where he had hit me with those two huge pass plays. If he had switched over from that point to his run game, because I started sitting on that play, and I shifted my defense just to watch for that one play, because that's what was killing me. If he had gone to his counters at that point, I think I would have really had my hands full.
Yeah, I sit on those counters every time I play them. I mean, not so much my defense, but my line. I'm sitting on that counters. I know it's coming.
I was too. I was sitting on it. He didn't hardly run any of them. And when he backed me up into more of a coverage defense, and the game was close, like I said, if he had switched over to his traditional offense at that point, I think the game would have gone right down to the wire.
Well, moving on to another up-and-comer, heavy hitter. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but the past couple of seasons, his win-loss record has dramatically improved, and he's another guy on the rise that you have to look out for. I scrimmage him not quite as much as I scrimmage other people, but when I do, our games are a lot closer. And in fact, he's put off some wins versus me. In fact, I believe he only lost maybe one game this season and maybe one or two last season. He hasn't gotten a playoff win yet, which really bothers him. But I encourage him all the time. Everyone doesn't elevate to that next level at the same pace. You just got to keep at it, and once you get there, you just have to keep finding ways to evolve your game. Something I have a hard time myself doing on offense. But it's nice to see him having success, because but we text a lot, and I can feel that enthusiasm from him as well. He's on the verge of turning that corner. He's got some things coming up as well.
So I have not played him. So I didn't play a single game from the time I dropped out in August until I joined back in February, and I have not played him since my return. Do you think that his improvement is confidence-based, or is he doing different things? Because I think that in this game, you can make huge improvements just working on the mental aspect of the game, which I know you and I have talked about a lot. So I haven't played with him. Is it more strategic, or do you think he's gaining confidence? Or is it both?
I think it's a little bit of both, but primarily I would think it's confidence, because even when I talk, when he has a game coming up and he's talking about it, he's told me, I'm confident coming to this game. I already have my game plan set. I know what I'm going to do on offense and defense. And you can just hear it in his voice that his confidence has definitely risen from where it may have been in the past. But even his play style, I mean, I won't talk about his play style and give away too much from what people already may not know. But even his play style, he's done things differently, and he's not afraid to deviate away from what he knows out of his comfort zone and try new things. He'll text me out. As a matter of fact, he texted me yesterday and says, "What do you think about this defensive philosophy, or being strong here, weak there, and different things he can try on defense?" And he's always looking for ways to evolve and improve, and it's refreshing to see that from him.
Well, I would like to play him soon. And HH, I'm a teacher. I got 2.5 days left of school for my 72 days off. Let me know. I'd love to get in some games. I'd love to get in some games. I talked about the mental aspect. That's something that you and I have talked about at great lengths, and I think a lot of people overlook the power of the way that you're thinking about the game and just your mental attitude going in. And there's games that I sit down on the couch with the controller and I think, man, my mind's not in the right place. That makes such a huge difference. The way I play some guys where they're tough the first couple quarters. I get up 7, and you can just feel them mentally fold. You can just tell that mentally they just go away. And once they do, the game's over.
You know what? I totally agree with you. I remember talking about this same subject. I can't remember who it was with. It may have been Heavy Hitter. I don't know. But a long time ago, I remember coming into games and I think it might have been run and shoot, in fact. And I would just be defeated before the game started. I remember once I was playing Dazzle 47. And I got the ball first, and I was really uncomfortable. And sure enough, I audible out of a run play to a pass play that I never called before. And I threw a pick 6. And after that, my confidence just went out the window. And you could tell in my play calling and everything else. I mean, something about playing him, he has a way of dictating pace. And it's just, after that pick 6, it was all in my head. And even though I'm only down 7, I mean, with me, my confidence on offense is already low. But even though I was only down 7, it felt like I was down 17 because the way the game started. I mean, he just got in my head right away with that pick, and I never recuperated. And I believe it was Run and Shoot who told me that I needed to, build my confidence back up, and because it makes a big difference. It may have been Heavy Hitter, I can't remember, but one of those two guys told me that, and it definitely makes a big difference.
Run and Shoot is one guy that it doesn't matter if you're up 28 points, it's not too much. I mean, that guy will not give up. You're good at making comebacks too. I remember one time I made the mistake. We were playing a practice game, and I felt foolish for saying this. And I got up 21 points early or something. And we were just playing practice game, so I thought, what, maybe it'd be fun if we just started over. And I mentioned, you want to quit and just start over. And I think it incensed you, and you made this major comeback. I think I won. It pissed you off.
I remember that. Yeah. I remember that.
I felt foolish for saying it because I was like, oh, I should have realized and not said anything about that.
That was like 2 years ago. You asked I want to quit and start over. And I came out, I forget what my response was. It was something my coach told me about quitting. And I quoted him, but I can't remember what the quote was. But my DB coach told me something. And I remember that, and I told you. And sure enough, I got a pick 6, I think it was, or something, and tied the game up. But I think after that, we had a network disconnection, so the game never finished. But I remember that moment when you told me that.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how powerful the whole mental side is, because as soon as I made that statement to you, it's like your total demeanor on the field. It's weird because like your video players, your little video guys change their demeanor. It's hard to get your mind, but it did. Everything was different. You could tell it's the pace people run. It's the way that they interact with their player. It's everything. Mentally just is everything shifted when I said that, and the momentum just changed.
That's one thing I love about this game. Whoever created it, there's something about tempo in this game and momentum. It means something in this game. I mean, I can't say that for Madden because I haven't played it in forever, but there's something about this game where tempo, momentum, pace, all of that matters. It's just not play selection and execution. You throw one. I remember one game I was playing Dazzle 007 in the playoffs, and he had a receiver that was wide open who dropped the pass, and for whatever reason, the rest of that whole first half, he still went on to win a game, for Christ's sake. But his receivers just dropping passes left and right, and you could just feel his frustration with the game and trying to figure out what was going on. He started running the ball more. I don't know. It's just something about this game where momentum and pace, tempo, all that stuff matters.
Yeah, I totally agree. So if I'm playing someone like Dazzle 47 or TJ's old style, which we talked a little bit, I feel like he shipped his style. I'm a lot more likely to try to play up tempo right off the bat, because if you can get a quick touchdown, even if they score 2 and you go 7-7 in 2 possessions, guys are going to catch the ball better. Holes are going to open more. It's an offensive game. If you get a defensive stop 2 in a row by both teams, all of a sudden guys are dropping balls. There's something built into the system that the momentum is either going to be an offensive game or a defensive game. And, I mean, the exact same plays in an offensive game will work. In a defensive game, they just won't. And it's not all play calling. It's something built into the system.
Yep. I wholeheartedly agree. I remember one time I was playing Dazzo, and I came into the game and I said, you know what? He likes to slow the game down, muck it up. He has no problem throwing the ball to his fullback for a 3-yard gain as long as he keeps the chains moving. I said, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to get up tempo and get him out of his comfort zone. But he has a way. I don't know how he does it, because I tell myself this every time I play him. I'm going to get him out of his comfort zone. And the next thing I know, it's a 10-3 game or a 7-10 game, and I'm just pissed off. He finds a way to win, and it just gets under my skin, and I walk away saying, how did I just lose that game?
Yeah, I hear you. Those low-scoring games become just kind of toss-ups. But there's an art form to winning those close games too, you know?
Agreed. Well, moving on with last season, up until the championship game, you were undefeated. I mean, talk about a comeback story. You took, what, 3-4 seasons off? And you come out of right out of the gate smoking meat for a win, and you went on to be undefeated all the way up to the championship game, and where you lost a close matchup versus Mighty RX. As much as it hurts, you want to talk about that?
Well, I can talk about all of it except for the CAG Bowl. Yeah, the season before I took the time, the reason I typically take the fall off is teaching starts. I've got my duck hunting YouTube channel. Working some real estate stuff with my sister and her. It's just so busy that even though it's only 1 game a week, it's just something I can take off that I just can't deal with. So I've got a long history of kind of not playing in the fall and picking it back up in the spring. But I was burnt out. I was really burnt out. And the season before I quit, I think I lost, I don't know, I only won 3 games, I think, which in the last game, Mighty RX just drubbed me something like 46-0. And I had decided to quit about midway through that season. And I was done and out of it. And I didn't know, honestly, at that point, I wasn't sure if I was going to play again, just because I'd been getting into Rocket League and I just kind of felt burnt from it. But, you know, about time that duck hunting season started closing out and spring approached, I started kind of getting excited about it. Then you and I played a game, and it was really, I think it was pretty close, if I remember. That was the first game I'd played in about, 4 months. And that kind of got the spark going again. And my goal coming into that season was to be 4-2. I always I try to set a realistic goal for myself. I typically in a 6-game season, if I can go 4-2, get in the playoffs, and I don't know how I went undefeated through that schedule. I just kept winning close game after. I mean, none of them were blowouts; they were all close. And I just kept getting breaks and kept winning close game after close game after close game, and then CAG Bowl. My theory against Mighty Rex is that if I make 2 or more mistakes, obvious mistakes, I'm probably going to lose, because he's so fundamentally sound. He drains that clock out, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And I made a mistake at the end of the half where I panicked. The clock was running down. I was losing by, I think, 4, and I was in field goal range. And I needed to audible back to the run, but the play clock was running down, and I couldn't do it. And I panicked coming right out of the huddle, and I even hit the wrong button and threw an interception. And that ended up being the game. I didn't get the field goal. If you make mistakes like that against him, you're probably going to lose. You just can't. You have to play pretty sound. But it was a great season. I'd been thinking all for months about coming back and winning the bowl. And if I could have beat him after he drubbed me 46-0 on my last game, that would have been icing on the cake. But it just wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be. Well, I finished 1-7 last season. In fact, my only win was versus Mighty RX. It was a close game. And, oh, he was terrible. I mean, I had limited players on offense, and everyone just pretty much keyed in on those two guys, and it was horrible. My competitive spirit was just wiped out, and I couldn't wait to get the season over with, to be honest with you.
Mighty Arcs is a really tough matchup for me for some reason. I'm not sure what my overall record is against him. He's won more than I have. I'm thinking it's something like 4-6-ish, 3-7. I don't know, but he's a tough matchup for me for some reason. I mean, he's a tough matchup for everyone. Let's not be kidding ourselves. But something about his style, that bog it down, slow the game down, give me a very few possessions. I struggle against him.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that later, but he's a tough opponent, like you said, for everyone, myself included.
I think I've started to figure out his defense. His defense, the first few times I played against him, I struggled to move. He was confusing me with what he was doing. I go to the line of scrimmage, and I typically have a feel for what looks good. And I couldn't – the way he was shifting his guys around, I would never hike the ball feeling good. Normally when I hike the ball, I feel like I'm going to be successful. But I couldn't – but lately the last few games, even though I've lost 2 out of 3 to him, I haven't felt confused against his defense, and I've been moving the ball well. I've just been making too many mistakes.
One mistake is all it takes in this league, especially with, like you said, when they're slowing the game down and you have limited possessions, limited opportunities. All it takes is one mistake. I remember I played him in the CAG Bowl, and he ate the first half up. I think he had the ball for like 7 minutes almost on his first drive. I ended up holding steady in the red zone and kicked the field goal to go up 3-0. And I'm driving down the field on offense versus him pretty successfully, which versus him, it's rare that I'm able to move the ball like I was. And I get down, and whoever my tailback was, he got stuffed right on the goal line. And so I come out and I said, you know what? I'm just going to sneak it in here and get it over with and get this quick 7-3 lead, go into the half up 4 with the ball. And I think it was like 1:18 left. My quarterback fumbled. He got hit by his goal defensive tackle. He fumbled. They got the ball back, and it just changed the entire momentum of that game. I wholeheartedly believe if I scored that touchdown, I have 3 CAG Bowl trophies right now. Oh, that loss still hurts.
Yeah, those CAG Bowl losses are tough. Of course, at this point, I've had so many that it's just like another day.
Well, I'm only 2-2, so I don't know.
I already know what I am. I'm 3-7-ish. If you look at my league record versus my CAG Bowl record, the only thing I can assume is that, and I know this isn't true anymore because I can just tell how I feel, but the first 6 or 7 CAG Bowls, I was tensing up and my playbook shrunk. I was so scared of making mistakes that I was just choking it away. And then that's gone, though. The last 3 or 4, I'm not feeling that. But I certainly was choking the first 5 or 6 bowls I was in, just too scared to make mistakes.
I remember that first CAG Bowl I played against you. I was so nervous because I said, if I don't win here, I may not ever get back to this game. And you, well, I'm going to get into this later, but you are one of the guys I absolutely just hate playing because you're just so versatile on offense. Your playbook, I just don't know what to key in on, and it just scares me. And when I had that opportunity, I didn't want to blow it. And when I came out of there with that win, I think I must have screamed throughout the house for like an hour. And then when I finally calmed down, I exhausted myself and I ended up going to sleep. But I was just, no one wanted that trophy more than me. I know that because I didn't think I would ever get back. It's just so hard. I mean, it's just so freaking hard. And to get that win, it was awesome.
It's a good feeling to get that first win. That game, if I go back and play that game all over, I just would have been like run and shoot on offense. I just got to open it up against you. That's why you see a lot less run plays than most people do. when I play.
Yeah, I kind of figured that because I'm sitting back there waiting on it, and it never seems to come.
Yeah, and then every now and then I'll just decide to run. But yeah, certain people I go pass heavy against, and other people run heavy.
I'm gonna have to jot that down in my memory. Moving on to this season, a week of the season, and I just actually had my last game today. I played so it looks like I'm slotted for a playoff spot, and the last seed or two is going to come down to, I don't know how they do it. Is it by strength of schedule or what? But this season we'll only be in 5 games.
Why is there only 5 games? I don't understand why we've shrunk the schedule.
That I do not know. I mean, we've always typically had at least 8, or that I know of, like 7, 8 games. So why this season there's only 5? I don't know if it's because of the fact that we're experimenting with this fantasy draft, and I don't know. That'd be a question for TJ.
Doesn't really bother me that much, as long as I'm not a big fan of building teams. Of course, people do them for me anyway, but I just didn't know why we had decided to do that.
Question. I'm gonna have to inquire and find out, because that was kind of weird. When I saw the schedule, I looked to see who I was playing, and we're also, if you notice, all in one conference, so that was kind of weird too.
Yep. So I bet you and I end up playing first round of playoffs. It seems like that happens so often.
I hope not. The way I think it's working out, and I may be wrong, but I think I'm going to end up playing. I believe you're going to end up playing. No, I'm sorry. Mighty RX is going to end up playing either Run and Shoot or TJ. And then you're going to end up playing, I believe, Dazzo. But I could be wrong. That was just the last I glanced at it.
So is this a 6-team? How many teams are making it? 4? 6?
6 are in.
So there's 2 buys then?
No, because only the top 6 seeds make it into the playoffs.
Well, there has to be 2 buys then.
I don't.
3 on each side.
Only one. There's only one division.
Yeah, but I mean, still in a playoff system.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right. I'm not. Well, so maybe it's the top 8 teams. I don't know. Don't give me. I don't know. That'd be a question. I'm gonna have to go back. I'm sure he posted it somewhere. I believe he posted it on the first page.
He just said 2 buys, so top 2 seed buys, which I think at this point, I don't know who that would. I haven't looked for a while. I know Mighty's 3-1, or 3. I think at least 3-1, if not 4-1, and I'm 3-1. Mm-hmm. So I think we're top 2 right now.
Yeah, you and Mighty. Well, that brings me to this, like we were just talking about earlier. Toughest overall opponent, as well as who you opponent to play defensively and offensively. You share your thoughts first.
I never got comfortable playing against PKat's defense. There's actually, I feel like, a lot of similarities in Mighty RX's defense to the way PKat used to kind of run his. I know PKat experienced a lot with a 3-4, but I never ever got to feel really comfortable against PKat, and he gave me more problems. He actually, in one of their audios, he had figured out which direction I run and why, and he had actually articulated it and said what he used to do to expose that, which was very interesting. But he more than anyone gave me real problems when I had the ball. I got to feeling like I couldn't do anything against him.
It's funny you say that, because of, if you want to implement everyone past and present, PKat, without a doubt, I mean, second place isn't even close. His defense is, like you said, it's almost like he's in a huddle and he knows what's coming. Times game I played against him, I don't think I ever crossed the 50-yard line. I mean, his defense, he had a sound 3-4 philosophy, like you said, and I just could not move the ball confidence whatsoever. I was happy to get a first down.
How many CAG Bowls did he win? I feel like for as good as I feel like he was, he didn't win as many bowls as what he should have.
That I don't know. I have to go back and look. I believe either TJ or has the lead with 8, and whoever has 8, the other one has 7 bowls. But TPAS hasn't been around for a while.
I don't think TPAT has that many. He doesn't have 7 or 8.
No, I mean TJ. I think TJ has 8, and Dazzo 0007 has 7.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
But if you want to include current players, just current players, as far as defensively, Mighty RX gives me the most problems. But it's tend to shuffle because at one point, run and shoot used to just terrify me. And I say that, I'm going to say what I'm about to say in the most respectful way possible. But as an avid film studier and someone who's played, I'm used to playing against something that's real. And he tends to call these arcade type defensive plays, but he makes it work for him. And how I can come out 3-4 wide, and he'll come out in a 4-3 defense. And how he makes that work for him, I mean, everything tells me pass the ball. And how he's able to shut things down, I have no idea. I've had more success lately, but for a long time it was him. And then it kind of went to Mighty RX. I remember one season he came out with 2 gold defensive tackles, and my O-line couldn't hold them. They couldn't stop a cold. It was just meet me at the quarterback they were playing all day. And for a long time, his pass rush was season in and season out a problem for me. Anything more than a 3-step drop was impossible. Anything more than, a pass going, like Peyton Manning his last years, 4 or 5 yards downfield was impossible because I just didn't have time. And he was so sound on offense, he would sit there and eat clock like you just mentioned. It was just impossible for me to get things going against him. But lately, like he said, I mean, it may work for him versus me more than it does you. But I won't say what it is, but TJ has made a subtle change to his defense. Probably about maybe 3-4 seasons ago. And I don't know why, but we tend to play each other season. And he made that subtle change, and it works perfectly versus my play style because I'm so against throwing a ball deep downfield. I'm just terrified about it. I don't know if it's because I used to play safety and I just know the dangers of making a bad pass back there or what it is, but I get scared of throwing the ball deep. If I'm scrimmaging, I can do it all day long. But when it comes to the actual game, I just get terrified of it. And he made I won't say what it is, but he made a subtle change on defense, and it's just giving me all sorts of problems. And it's I don't know what my record is against him. It's probably 50-50. I don't know. But lately, his defense against, even over Mighty RX, gives me the most problems.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed a change in his defense for sure.
Well, offensively, you and Showtime give me the most problems. You, because you're just so versatile, and I can't key on one area of the field or one particular player, or even two, because you just even I noticed, you know, before you took your little brief hiatus, you don't mind switching things up and just going away from what I was used to seeing in the past. Some guys, I pretty much know what they're gonna do, and I see it coming, and I can just key in on certain things, and I know I'm gonna have success. But you and Showtime on offense give me the most problems. I mean, I don't know what it is about Showtime, but first and second down, I can stop him, and he'll find a way to keep the chains moving on third down. Part of the problem, because I talk to him a lot, because he self-admittedly doesn't know much about football, and I would talk to him a lot about defense. He would ask me, what can I do to stop this and stop that? And he knows what I like to do, and so he's kind of countered that. So I got to make an adjustment and make changes to my game to, you know, stop his momentum, because him and yourself give me the most problems on offense without a doubt.
My guess is that you probably struggle more against people who don't have a football background, because I don't have any football background. My play calling is based on my mood and just my set of plays and running counters off what I think people are going to call. I feel like you're really good at dissecting exactly what people's tendencies are. And so I certainly make sure to try to not have any tendencies against you. And the time that I did in that CAG Bowl, you jumped it and made that interception we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Because you had picked up on a tendency of mine.
Right.
I bet you if you look at your record versus guys with a football background versus guys without, that you're better at guys that play more by the books. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. That'd be interesting to see. That's a dynamic I never thought about. I don't know. I mean, it's probably some truth to that. I might just study that a little bit.
Well, we've been going about an hour and 10 minutes.
Yes.
We should probably head towards kind of shutting it down. Is there one last thing that you want to talk about before we close it on out?
The only thing I'd like to bring up is whoever decided to tune in or maybe watch later, to just give us your feedback. Let us know what you thought about the show. Any topics of conversation that you'd like to see mentioned or brought up, talked about. I know Heavy Hitter has brought some stuff up to me that you and I agreed to talk about on a future show. But I would just like to get everyone's feedback and get their thoughts on it. And like I say, recommendations on how we can improve the show.
Look to having some guests on here too, where we have a third person and kind of rotate through some guys. And I think it's cool just to kind of get to know people. And with PKat and Vertigos, you couldn't see faces. And I think this is cool because if we can kind of rotate guys through here, I don't know how many of these I'll want to do, but I mean, if I get tired of it, someone else can step right in and we can keep it going. And it'd be really fun just to kind of get to know everyone and see everyone's face.
Right. Oh, definitely. I wouldn't mind passing that torch along either. Let other guys participate in the show and conduct it, and get more of their feedback as well, or get them involved in the show.
Sounds great. Sounds good. So we'll do this again. We don't have a date set or anything at this point, but we'll certainly get a date lined up and probably get a guest line up and do it all over again.
Absolutely. So I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Go Bears. I'm kind of disappointed in the draft this year, but I don't know. One day we'll get it together.
I'm pretty excited about the Chiefs quarterback pick. I don't know how good he is, but it'll be fun to see.
It'll definitely be fun. I'm not sure about his discipline, but I'm looking forward to seeing your preseason games.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And he's got, Andy Reid there and Alex Smith to kind of coach him for a year or two. So
right.
Who knows? It'll be fun. Finally, we draft a quarterback. Well, it'll be fun.
Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and wrap this show up. Thanks for all who tuned in. Thanks for whatever. I don't know how this is going to go, but again, we like your feedback. We're going to post a link for you guys to come back and watch the show. Let us know your thoughts, topics of discussion you'd like to, hear, debate, what have you. Go Bears.